All right, guys, this is Norval Central coming back at you with another YouTube video. And I really want to thank you for all the love and the support so far through my last couple of videos that I've had. Be sure to like the video. Let's try to get this video up to 60, 70 likes. Also, comment your thoughts on what you think about the Tribe 24s. We're coming up on that recruiting class. And also just hit the subscribe button. It is completely free, and we'll try to get as many subscribers as we can as we try to go through daily Knoll content. But let's go ahead and get started. So we're talking about Tribe 24 today. The 24 class for Florida State is what they call Tribe 24, and they are ranked fourth in the 247 Sports Composite rankings. And it's kind of a good development for a class that you thought in last year they didn't recruit that well, and people were having concerns about recruiting and transfers were really well, but they just needed to do well in high school recruiting. Well, you got a guy in Cam Davis who I think is playing high school quarterback basically at this point, but they're recruiting him as a running back. He's a five-star prospect, can't miss talent on the offensive side of the ball. And then you got a guy like Jordan Pride, a four-star safety. Cameron Fryer, his dad used to play at Florida State, a four-star receiver. And then you got Luke Kromenhoek, your quarterback of the future, a four-star there. He's really a later riser in terms of being a starter, and getting that first year of starting experience this past season is really going to develop him into a special player. You got four-star safety CJ Hurd, who comments on all my Instagram posts at this point. He's a guy that I'm pretty familiar with at that point. Jamori Flagg is another guy from Miami who I actually really like to take in terms of that. I think they got on him pretty early in the process, and I think he could be a guy that develops into that high three-star, low four-star type of player. Keyshawn Mashburn is another guy from Quincy who they really, really like in terms of that. He's a three-star right now. I think he's probably going to be closer to a higher three-star at this point, but really like his skill set. And then Jake Winberg, the kicker, is also going to be another one out of Delray Beach. That's going to be a guy that I really think Florida State's really trying to find a future plan for him, because Fitzgerald only has a couple more years left of experience and eligibility at this point. I think you really have a solid foundation in terms of your 8 prospects that you have committed to the class as of right now. You've got a whole lot of guys coming up. I mean, I already talked about Charles Lester in terms of being that skill set, in terms of what he brings to the table. Josiah Trader is another guy, a 5-star athlete that I really, really like. Walt Claire Flynn is another guy, interior offensive lineman that I did a Q&A with quite recently. Chance Robinson, a 4-star receiver. King Joseph Edwards, I think, is another guy, a 4-star athlete. He's mainly played at tight end and I believe defensive end as well. Norwell White is another guy that I really like, an athlete also. Craig Gadsden is another guy, a safety. You also got Tafoy Fagan, who is a Clemson commit. He's a 4-star safety. And usually what's really interesting about safety commits, especially coming out of Clemson, for Clemson commits anyway, it's very hard to get those guys to come out and visit after they've already committed to the program. Dabo's got kind of a policy going on over there, and that's very interesting with him visiting Florida State. Could be some signs to come with that one. So definitely got to watch out for Florida State's defensive back recruiting. I talked about this before with Patrick Surtain Sr. coming in. He hasn't been officially hired yet as of Florida State, but that is a Pete Thamel report from that. So just be very mindful of that as well. You got to look at some other guys like James Madison the second. He's a 4-star receiver. Really like him. There's a couple of guys here that I'm really intrigued to see how Florida State's going to kind of close the deal on some of these guys. And I mean, when you're looking at some of the 24 class, I mean, the board is going to keep expanding, especially during the summer. You're going to see a lot of guys emerging onto that board. So if you're wanting to be some of these top talented recruits that may be low 4-stars, Florida State may pass them over if there's an instance where there's another guy at the position they really, really like, and it just kind of fits with the timetable and everything. So I know there's a couple of easy, gets that you're going to have and you're going to fight through the whole cycle with Trader and also with Lester as well. There's a couple of guys there that you have to keep fighting for throughout signing day, and eventually you're going to have to probably be able to land those guys. But especially when you have Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier, who didn't really who disappointed in their first years as head coaches at Miami and at Florida, you have to kind of figure that Florida State's going to try to take advantage of this, and they want to make a huge splash. And I think that's exactly what they're doing in terms of being able to get these skill sets into Tallahassee and being able to be an efficient piece for the future. And I think Florida State's doing a nice job so far through the 2024 class. And I'm really excited to see how this class develops as we go through the time in the next couple of months, because as we go through, the spring game is going to be a huge pickup for some of these guys and being able to get that. The spring game has not been announced yet in terms of dates, but I imagine it's probably going to be around April 10th through the 15th, somewhere around there. It'll probably be a Saturday when there's nothing on at that point. Baseball will probably be going on an away game like it usually has. But I do think Florida State's going to really take advantage of having national attention, especially when that game could be broadcasted on ESPN or even the ACC network at that point. I do think it's going to be broadcasted just like it was last year at this point. But just super excited to see how Florida State's going to finish and develop there. And as always, I hope every one of you enjoys the video today, and go Dogs.